Well, this wasn't a video I thought I'd have to make, but the subject does affect me in a way living in SEPTA territory, and that is SEPTA's board voting to approve the fiscal year 2026 operating budget of only $213 million, which instead of resulting in pay cuts from the top management because, that makes the most sense, they're instead cutting a lot of services with lower staff and paychecks probably being next because, the executive management still need their six-figure salaries of luxury after all. Those cuts include 50 bus routes being abolished, service reduction on existing routes, some trolley routes being replaced by buses, all special services, including the Game Express that the Broad Street line had, and upcoming specials for the World Cup next year being eliminated, abandonment of 2 regional rail lines. Yeah, I know they call it suspension, but it's more like abandonment. That's what pisses me off the most. All the Amtrak shared routes no longer being served, and most jarring, a 9 p.m. curfew on most services, which is, pretty crazy. Understandably, a lot of people are rather pissed off about this, and I'm definitely one of them. Even Governor Shapiro and other state representatives are upset, or they're just pretending like any other corrupt politician. I don't use SEPTA as often as I used to. I mean, back in the late 2010s, I only used them to just railfan or be a jolly trolley, as SEPTA workers would call it. Then I would frequently use them to get to college back in 2019. And also, whenever I had to go to Philly for any given reason, like catch Amtrak or whatever, I would just take regional rail. Either Lansdale Doylestown, Norristown, or just use the NHSL, the Norristown High Speed Line, to catch the Paoli line. Especially since nobody wants to deal with that parking lot called I-76. That road is like the bane of my existence. Nowadays, my travels are mainly westward out of SEPTA's reach, but that doesn't mean I'm not concerned about this whole budget situation. I've of course had to use SEPTA myself a couple of times when I had car troubles, including an embarrassing incident where a whole wheel fell off a car I had because a tire shop that did service on my suspension for my car didn't secure the lug nuts correctly. Don't you ever use Pep Boys. The 9 p.m. curfew, though, is really irking because I used to work night shift jobs in the past, so I understand what a lot of people are going through with these upcoming cuts, which I think are supposed to roll out in segments on August 21st. But either way, being stranded at work with no way home or having to settle with overpriced, sketchy Uber rides is not exactly ideal. Yeah, sure, Uber's better than Lyft, but that's not the point. Also, on top of these cuts, they're increasing the base fares from $250 to $290, basically giving a higher price for lower value service? That's some BS right there! It's also no secret their management is always doing something shady to save money. I mean, they did try and make Subway motormen drive Bud RDCs, a full-on locomotive, because they didn't want to pay qualified Conrail crews, and well, look what happened to that diesel service. Not to mention SEPTA's spending habits are almost as bad as mine. They wasted so much money in those poorly made Chinese double-decker cars that pretty much amounted to nothing, and I'm pretty sure a lot of that leftover money went into their Heritage unit fleet, which was good. I mean, the Heritage unit fleet is probably the best Heritage units out there, in my personal opinion. I know a lot of people are going to give me hate for that, but it's my opinion, not yours. And the fact that they pour too much money in certain services. I mean, they get like new buses every 10 years and each one just sucks harder and harder and harder. Meanwhile, the regional rail fleet is still using cars that are more than 50 years old. Don't get me wrong, I love the Silverliner 4s, but if these cars are catching fire left and right, mainly from lack of maintenance, that's probably telling you something. Look, I know SEPTA isn't perfect, but they really do a good job in providing the service people depend upon in order to get from point A to B, but this is just not right. This is ridiculous. SEPTA is basically giving in to their competition instead of fighting to survive. I know they pay a big chunk of change for trackage rights for Amtrak, but those routes not only see the highest ridership, but I'm pretty sure they also make SEPTA the most money. I mean, especially the Paoli-Thorndale line, because, it's just a line full of colleges, full of college students, and then the Trenton line is always used by people that just want to dodge the toll to get into New Jersey. But anyway, this is going on too long. The point of this video is just to raise awareness about this critical situation and not keep bashing on the already inept management that we know too well, especially with that PennDOT lady we used to have. Good riddance to her. So, if you look into the video description, there's a link going into more detail about this SEPTAgeddon 2.0 that'll be upon us, depending on whatever happens with this funding situation. And also how you can help raise awareness by telling these state representatives to grow a pair and help save the services. There's also several videos that people have uploaded, including this one from How We Get Around, which is also found in the video description, that go into much better detail than I ever could with these videos. Maybe I'll go into better detail later on, considering, how much I've used SEPTA, but I don't know. I'm kind of backed up with other projects right now that are kind of higher in priority. And besides, most of you people have probably clicked off by now because it's not a rec documentary. But if you manage to sit through my nasally mumbling this long enough, that means you care about this subject. So please, go check out the links down below to see how you can help provide transit for all. Cut management pay, not service people depend on. By the way, Engines of SEPTA is on permanent hold out of protest for this. I'm also going to be combining all the diesels into one video because there's very little info about any of them. Okay, that's it. See ya.